A podcast? Did your radio show get canceled?
Fire. Low down and filthy, but the discipline is on point. Schooled myself, made my own dojo. A cold flow with the whole dose of soul. Maintain composure, even in fury. And anomaly properties.
This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions, because what else are we going to do? I have no other measurable skills or talents. It's the green shirt edition of the show if you're watching at PeteThePlanner.tv. And if you aren't, do, and you'll see the green shirt and you'll think, what a waste of time. On this week's show, we're answering different money questions. We've got, let's see what we've got this week. We've got a woman who's changing jobs. She wants to know what to do with something. We've got another guy who's trying to pay for his 2 daughters in college. And then we got some other stuff. The other one is my own personal financial question I'm going to ask myself. So that seems mentally healthy. And then the biggest waste of money of the week. Before we get started, boy, do I have good news for you podcast listeners. Those that listen to our podcast every week. Some of you hear this show on the radio. Others of you hear this show on the podcast. And we've heard you. We like to experiment with different formats from time to time. But the most popular format of our podcast is coming back next month. The $1 Million Plan is coming back next month. We listen. Frank, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Good. How are you?
I'm excellent. You ready for our first question of the day?
I am ready for the first question of the day.
It is from a woman named Candy.
Hi, Candy.
Yeah, it's like we shouldn't joke about people's names.
No.
And this is coming from a guy named Peter, so I know how hurtful words can be. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm leaving one state to work in another. I have 11 and a half years of service, a pension plan I will defer until retirement, and a deferred comp balance of 23,000 American dollars. 30 days after the termination of my job, I have the option to leave it and let it grow very slowly or cash it out. My initial thought was to leave it. However, in attempts to pay off all my debt for the last year, I have a school loan of $18,000. If I cash out my deferred comp, penalty-free, and pay the federal taxes, quoted at 20%, I just about break even to pay my loan off in full. My new job offers a pension plan and deferred comp, and I have 30 years of work before I can retire. Would it make sense to cash my deferred comp and snowball that monthly payment into other investments that are more profitable investments and in my control to manage? I also thought of using that monthly income budgeted for the loan towards our mortgage and pay off our home in 6 years' time so we can cash flow college. My firstborn graduates college in 9 years. Any help would be awesome. Thank you. Candy. All right.
I don't even know where to start.
Do you think she calls her house Candyland?
I hope so.
I would.
Absolutely. That was a great game, or is a great game.
It's not bad. I play with my kids now, and there's it's you remember it differently than when you play it now.
I believe that, yeah.
It was better then. Okay, so I definitely know where to start here, and let's hit with some classic things. Generally, when you leave a job, the worst conceivable thing for you to do is to cash out a retirement plan and to use it to do things. Okay, so now here are the different things people typically do when they cash out a retirement plan prior to age 59 and a half, because it's not really considered cashing it out if you do it after 59 and a half. It's just a distribution or a withdrawal from your account. But if you do it prior to 59 and a half, which she clearly is, unless she wants to work to age 89 and a half, then this would be generally a bad idea. And this is what people do when they cash out a retirement account. They do all sorts of stuff. Pay off debt. They go on vacation. They give themselves a little bit of a cushion. Sometimes when people leave a job and they don't have another job, they'll cash out their retirement account and use that as like an extra severance or something to, tide them over until their next job. Now, here's the issue with this. It is your money. You can do whatever you want with your money. And sometimes you're put in a jam that's not preferable, but you've got to use the resources you have to get out of that jam. Generally speaking, here is why taking out a $23,000, cashing it out. Here's why it's typically a bad idea, is because you would typically lose about 30% of that 23,000, which my math tells me that's roughly 6,000 something.
Yes.
Yeah, 6,900, I think is what the kids are saying. So that would take it down to like $16,000 and change. She says in this particular situation, she wouldn't have to pay the 10% penalty. She wouldn't have to, she would have it, the access to it penalty free, and she would have to pay the federal taxes, which is that 20%. So the 30% I speak of is the 20% in federal taxes, the 10% penalty, and she is suggesting she does not have the penalty. I'm sure there's a rule for that, and I'm sure that at some point in time when I had a securities license, I used to know that rule. I no longer remember the rule, but I will take her word for it that she doesn't have the penalty. So that is to suggest that she would lose $4,600 in federal taxes, and then she would have roughly the $18,000 she would need to pay off her loan. Okay. On the surface, I would say, no way, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I kind of still feel that way. However, Nicole,
Yes.
it seems like Candy's got a plan.
Right. Whenever someone starts out and they give us a lot of detail, they've always got something kind of already in the works.
Yeah, and so her
Right?
plan's not actually too bad. So what she would do is, of course, eliminate the student loan of $18,000. Here's my biggest concern.
Yeah.
I doubt, and maybe I'm wrong because it looks like she's got a pretty good start on her mortgage.
Yeah.
I doubt that she's paying a lot on her student loan right now, but she might be, but I doubt she is.
Yeah.
So by eliminating that student loan from a cash flow perspective, she doesn't really impact her situation that much.
Because there's not already being a lot being contributed to that. So
Yeah, so
right.
like if she eliminates a payment that's $300 a month, then by getting rid of $23,000 in assets, she frees up $300 a month in capital, which can go to do something else. And she used the term snowball as a verb of, then we can take that $300 a month and then build an asset back up.
Right. There's some momentum that comes from it.
Yeah, and look, that's a reasonable thing. The biggest concern other than that is sometimes when people say, well, I could take this and eliminate that, and then when that's done, I could take this and do that. It's something along the way disconnects and people don't do what they say they're going to do, and then the whole thing ends up being a bad idea. Like the worst case scenario, past the first step, is that she eliminates the student loan debt and then reabsorbs that whatever her payment is for the student loan back into her lifestyle, increases her lifestyle, decreased her assets, and that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, not so much.
So I'm okay with this. I can't believe this. I feel like I should lose my financial radio show host card after 10 years for giving her the permission to do what she said. I would double check with a tax advisor, tax expert on the penalty-free thing. Again, I'm probably supposed to know this. If I've got financial people listening to the show, feel free to email askpete@petetheplanner.com and said, you should know this, you dummy. You know what? I forget a lot of stuff.
Sometimes you have to have someone check your work,
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like we're showing our work. Someone's just got to double check it for us.
And I'll admit when I don't know. Okay, so that's what I do. Yeah, I would go with for this person, Candy, I would do the plan that you just said, but you have to do the follow through, which is to take whatever per month you've freed up in student loan payments and do something amazing with it.
Amazing.
Including saving the money back up or paying down the mortgage. You are right. You are now going to have 2 pensions. You've got a 30-year career ahead of you. You've got a good head on your shoulders, and your firstborn graduates college in 9 years. So yes, go ahead accordingly. And Nicole, after the break, here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
We're going to fast forward to as if this Candy person had 2 daughters in college. And that is our next emailer. They want to know how should they fund the gap in their college plan. 401k loan, withdrawal Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs. We're going to hit that next. Now, as always, if you have a question, you want to have it read and answered by yours truly, ask Pete at petetheplanner.com. Ask Pete, and I go, because it's with a K, I wouldn't do it that hard if it was a C. So this is the Pete the Planner Show. We answer your money questions, and we'll be right back after these words.
Primo beat, man. Kanye let us know.
question the right of any man to voice his opinion as strongly as any can. But then again, many men are citizens of their own little world, so they ain't really fitting in. I'm in the background blending in, camouflaged by the scenery, but I'm a champion.
Back on the Pete the Planner Show, I'm your host. So let's get to our next question of the week. If you have any questions, because this show is we just answer financial questions. It's interesting if you're into things that are like this, right?
Your pause was great.
It was a pregnant pause. I told you about my pet
Pregnant pause?
my pet doula service. Like you have a pet and you want natural childbirth for your pet, and it's the service is called Pregnant Pause.
What?
Well, it's an idea. It's just a business idea. You don't like it? Okay. This question is from a fella named Mike. And if you want to email us, ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. Here is Mike's question. He doesn't say, hey, Pete, or...
No greeting?
No.
Did you just dive right in?
He's just like, I walked in your front door. Have two daughters in college. Senior at one and senior at one college, sophomore at another. He names the schools, but let's not identify them. Although I will say they are two universities that happen to, you see like those license plate that
The
say
house
like
divided.
house divided.
Yeah.
Man, can you imagine how divided his house is? Why am I using this voice?
I was just going to say.
I don't know. It's a divided voice. So he's got a senior at one and a sophomore at the other in this house in which he lives in, which happens to be
Divided.
His 529 plans, his college savings plans, are tapped out.
Aw, nuts.
But he's still, he says contriving. I'm going to go with autocorrect and say it's contributing. $5,000 to get the tax break. His bills, his tuition bills, are due in August. Total close to 20 grand for this year. Should I take out one of my Roth IRAs or one of my traditional IRAs that he has with Vanguard? He just wanted to let us know. He won't touch his primary 401k that's close to $1 million.
Good.
Hashtag help. I love that. Hashtag in a contact form. This is also an important moment or an opportunity for us, Nicole, to note that so people email me because of USA Today column and other papers and things, and then because of the show and the podcast. But what's weird is, like, I don't know how they found us. And so if I answer in this medium,
Right.
Yet they are a newspaper reader, then they never get it. So what we do is we'll take this segment and we'll record it on a computer, and we will email a person the audio when we answer these questions. So that way they don't miss out on their answers.
Yeah.
So Mike, you will get, Mike, I'm talking to you right now because I'm going to email you this, or
Nicole will email
Nicole will email you this. Okay, so let's start at the end of this question. He says he's not going to touch his 401k. And Mike, you're exactly right. You should not touch, under any circumstance, your 401k to pay for a child's college education. And it's because of a very Hallmark card way of saying you can finance a college education, you cannot finance retirement, which is to say you can't borrow for retirement, but you can borrow for a college education. So don't put yourself in a position in which you can borrow for a college education, but you don't, because you use your retirement assets, which then could conceivably force you to need to borrow for retirement. You can't do that.
Word.
I don't know. But I think the bigger question here, so I agree with Mike's idea there. The bigger question is this, Nicole.
Yes. Oh.
Should he, you like that deep breath?
Yeah.
So this is a really common situation. You have a family that looks like they did a pretty solid job saving for college.
Yeah.
I mean, his first daughter is already a senior, and they've just now tapped out their 529s. And what he does, because he lives in a state and with the state tax credit, is he takes $5,000 of income a year. I say funnel, that sounds like it's shady, but it's not. He funnels that $5,000 through the 529, which then gives him $1,000 tax credit, so he can turn his $5,000 into $6,000 with just a little tax trick.
Voila.
So, but the big question I'm trying to raise is this. He needs to decide, and maybe he already has. Mike, I'm now talking to you. You need to decide whether you are 100% committed to fully pay for your daughter's college education. Now, don't answer quickly and like be dismissive of this, because I want to talk through it. Because a lot of times people in this situation, which I see a lot, I mean, and if I'm being transparent, it's conceivable that this could be my situation. I don't know. I mean, my kids are 9 and 6, but it's conceivable from the gap is the same of the kids' ages. Like, this could be my situation. You need to decide, do you and should you, from a financial perspective, have the ability to take care of this problem by liquidating an IRA, a Roth, or a traditional? Like, whether it's the Roth or traditional, we'll get to in a second. But should you do either? Should you right now go down $20,000 in net worth to fund this group of this year's worth of education for your 2 daughters? Before you scream yes and say, absolutely, I committed to that, it's important to see if you could really do it. I don't know your income. I don't know your expenses. I don't know if you have a mortgage. I know you have $1 million, which is great. But that $1 million has to last you for decades. And I don't know how many other assets you have. So that's the bigger point here. I think a lot of times parents find themselves in this situation, and because of guilt, because of obligation, because of that weird thing that happens to you when you have a child, you tend to think with your heart and not the math. People make this mistake by funding college education out of their assets when they shouldn't do it. And instead, the better solution would be to allow the daughters to take on some semblance of student loan debt. Now, at one point in my career, I would say something like, well, it depends on the deal you made with them. I don't care about deals you made with children. No offense, honestly, no offense. I think it really has to go with you seriously looking at whether this is a good financial decision for you. Once you've said, yes, I have confirmed with some expert, don't have it be me, I'm not good, with some expert, then it becomes, do I use the traditional or the Roth? I would say you would use the traditional, because the Roth is a more flexible instrument that you can hold for a longer period of time. At age 70 and a half, you're going to have to take money out of the IRA, and the traditional IRA, because of your required minimum distribution. Your Roth, you never have to take an RMD, a required minimum distribution. So from my perspective, that makes it a more flexible asset, a more attractive asset, and I would rather you have Roth assets than traditional assets, especially since you have $1 million American dollars in your 401k, which is a traditionally taxed asset. It's a traditional versus a Roth asset. Nicole, did you follow some of that?
A little bit.
Good. So that's the answer. The answer is A, decide whether or not you really should do this, which is Mike, I'm talking to you. Do not pass over that. Like, really, really dig into it. It's hard to say no to kids. Like, it really is hard, especially with something as emotional and big as a college education. I think the best decisions and the toughest decisions a parent can make that actually makes it easier on them later is part of the discussion of where your kids should go to school, where they should go, and that being partially based on the cost of school. We had our good friend Phil Schuman, the director of financial literacy at Indiana University, on our podcast last week. And he shared with us, in most cases, it doesn't matter where a person goes to school. The degree, with as little debt as possible, is more valuable than what is perceived to be a better degree with some debt taken on, right? So, Nicole, you always hear, well, it's a better school, so I'm willing to take on the debt. What our good friend Phil Schuman said is that is malarkey. Malarkey.
That was a great word.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So coming up after the break, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask myself a financial question about my own financial life. Nicole, I may have mentioned to this in the office earlier today, but I will both ask it and answer it. That is next on the Pete the Planner Show. I am your host of the show, and my name is Pete the Planner. Hi, I'm internet podcaster Peter Dunn. You may know me as Pete the Planner. You hear me on the radio and on your podcasting device. But did you know you can also see me on YouTube? That's right. We have a YouTube channel, and we call it PeteThePlanner.tv. We ask you to subscribe so you can catch great shows like Pete's Eats and this here podcast with drawings. But the drawings are made with a video camera. Subscribe today.
Cashing in like the end of the game at the casino. I lean so the glare of the rear view don't hit me. Swiftly through the avenues and boulevards. Old soul playing on my speakers. Old soul but young in age, a boss player. Not from the Himalayas, but my fam gave me gift.
Back on the Pete the Planner show, lively during the break, Nicole.
We got real lively there.
Wow. Too bad the cameras were rolling. If you want to see this, go to PeteThePlanner.tv. A reminder coming back here in August to the podcast is the $1 Million Plan. It's back here, and I'll explain it when it comes back. But I just needed a break.
Yeah, we did.
Okay? We want to do some other things.
We tried. Thanks for letting us have a little fun. We listened for once.
I don't really normally listen. Okay, my colors
here we go.
faded. I was laughing so hard during the break, my face was red. All right, next question here on the Pete the Planner show. Of course, we answer your money questions. If you want your money question answered, seriously, just email us. Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com.
So did you email yourself this
No, I
question?
should. I
You
could.
should.
But, like, okay, so this happened maybe Monday? Maybe Tuesday.
It could have been Monday. It could have been 5 weeks ago with your
that's
sense of time,
yes,
right?
Yeah. I mean, it could have been 3 years ago, but
Who
I'm pretty
knows?
sure it was this week.
Okay, that's good.
I woke up and I was like, I think I need more life insurance. Right. So now like I don't know why. It's not like I was like, I feel like I'm going to die today. It was just like one of these things of like, I started thinking through I know this is when you're 40, death is very real.
Monday morning, and you're like,
I will say this
more
morning,
life insurance.
when I woke up this morning, the first thing I did at 4:30 a.m. was to grab a corkscrew and put it into a sack of wine that we're taking on vacation this
See
week.
priorities. So
Yeah.
I respect that.
But a few days earlier, 48 hours earlier, was like, do I need more life insurance?
Do I need
And this
more
sounds
life
like a setup
insurance?
because I didn't have a segment and I needed something to talk about. But it's not. And my USA Today column this next week is about this very topic. Here's the thing. Okay, so I got a lot of life insurance. If I'm dead, people are okay. Okay? But
It's very sweet of you.
yeah, I think I need more. And the reason is two reasons. Number one, I finally have a vision of what retirement looks like for me. When the last time I bought life insurance, right before Ted was born, it was 7 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And so typically, Nicole, and you might not know this, but typically when you buy life insurance, especially term insurance,
Yes.
you buy it for blocks of 10 years or so.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You see, I have a 10-year policy. So that means if I die in the next 10 years, Mrs. Planner is having a celebration of life instead of a
good.
funeral, right? So that's fine. But if I die outside of that 10 years, and I only had a 10-year policy, and the policy no longer exists, then it's a funeral, just burying me, okay? Right? So there's that. But by the way, the policy I last purchased was a 25-year policy. I think I purchased it like 7 years ago. So I had the amount that was right at the time. You're thinking, oh, you must be making oodles of more money now than you were 7 years ago, and you must have a lot more expenses. No and no, actually. I'm an entrepreneur. I have I invest very firmly back into my business, which is to suggest I have not been paying myself more for the last 7 years. Little increases, but nothing worth writing home about, especially to myself. What has changed is I now finally have a clear vision of what retirement is for Mrs. Planner and I. And I didn't prior to purchasing the life insurance. Okay, so you're thinking, okay, what does that mean? Here's what it means. I previously thought I would work into my 60s. I just did. I was like, I work into my 60s. I love what I do. I do it for free. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, how you doing? Oh, so if it were any better, it'd be criminal. That's how good I'm doing. But I don't.
Chummy.
Yeah, like I don't.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way anymore. And I love do what I do very much. But I want to stop, like in my 50s, okay? Like I'm tapping out. You're on your own. You're going to have to find like Keith the Planner.
No,
Maybe
Frank
Ted the Planner. Yeah, you're doing it, Nicole.
I'll do it.
But I'm out in my 50s, like sometime, maybe 53. No one knows. But here's what the issues become. That is our goal. That is what we are working toward. So let's say I hit age 50 And then
Fitty.
that's the last age I hit.
Oh.
Means I've left the building. I'm dead. And if that's the case, and Mrs. Planner all along for the next 10 years, so for the previous 10 years, and when I'm 50, we're both 40 now, that means that we've been planning for this whole thing. We're talking it up. It's what we're going to do. And then I'm dead. And because we only had enough life insurance to help fund the kids' college and to carry her on into what we used to view retirement to be, it sort of shortcuts the entire dream and point that we're trying to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because now I have less time. Instead of having 25 years left in my career, I think maybe 13, 15 years left. That's a big difference.
Right. Yeah. 10 years is a big jump.
So I have less time to earn the money I'm going to need to sustain myself indefinitely. So for one, I think that changes the amount of life insurance I need, because what I don't want to do is to work so hard towards this vision and then all of a sudden I die because of a tick.
Oh.
I don't know. I want it to be something cool, like
You're
Lyme
going to die
disease.
from I was just going to say, you're going to lie? Yeah.
I don't know. I got to Google that. It's probably horrible. Let's say I catch a fish and I lip it. I mean, not that I grab it with my lips, but I grab its lip with my thumb. And let's say that there's an abrasion on my thumb, and then that abrasion gets infected.
That's why you get your shots, man.
I don't know. There's no fish shots, Nicole.
You don't know.
You don't know.
Touche.
The second reason why I think I need more life insurance is because I have not only a different retirement goal, a better vision, I've just sort of refined my financial plan more. I have a better sense of college costs now. I have a better sense of when my mortgage will be paid off. I really didn't know 7 years ago when my mortgage would be paid off. I didn't know when my rental property mortgage would be paid off. I didn't know these things.
So you were just kind of guesstimating.
Then that's all you really do. And here's
Right.
what ends up happening, Nicole. And I think I want you to, this is for no one else except you now. In the next 5 years, you're going to have major life events, I would assume. One here, no one knows, right?
No one
You could
knows.
arguably have some life events. Typically, when you have a life event, you think, okay, let's reassess my needs. Let's check into life insurance and those sorts of things. And typically, that's what you do. When right before we had my daughter 9 years ago, I was life insurance okay? It's okay, good to go. Then my son, a couple years later, it's like, okay, we're good to go. Nothing's happened since then except I've shaved my head. That's the biggest thing that's happened to me in the last 7 years.
It's been exciting.
Right. So and you're thinking about this, and it's like, well, your life insurance is fine because nothing major's happened. No, that couldn't be any
Not
further
so
from
fast.
the truth. Because of a few additional elements that don't apply to me that could apply to other people. Let's say I was not currently saving for retirement or investing for retirement at the pace in which I needed to. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
The longer that problem goes festering, the longer it goes, the worse it gets, which means your financial situation gets worse, which means you need more life insurance. So if you're thinking, well, I've had nothing change, we're just grinding along, but I'm not really saving as much as I can, that alone could increase your need for life insurance.
Oh.
And so I want people every 3 to 5 years to reassess, reevaluate their life insurance situation, no matter what is going on in their life. Now, I will say this. I used to be a financial planner, which means life insurance was
did?
part of that. Yes. Yeah. That's
No
how I got the
way.
nickname Pete the Planter.
Wow,
That's
it all
correct.
makes sense.
Pete the Planter in this green shirt today. Go to PeteThePlanter.tv, check out this green shirt.
The green gorilla.
If we had the money gorilla.
It's our next business venture.
But let's say I wasn't in the insurance business at one point and wasn't a financial planner and didn't have a financial mind. And someone tells me to get life insurance. And let's say I adopt the mentality of, well, that's great and all, but I won't be around to enjoy it. Therefore, I'm not going to prioritize it right now. I see that a lot. I used to see that a lot. And actually, I still get some exposure to it where a person knows they need to buy life insurance, but they dismiss that obligation because they're immature to the point where they go, well, I'm not going to benefit so what's the point? I'd rather spend my money on things that I can benefit from. And I used to get mad about that, but I couldn't tell it's because they weren't buying life insurance for me or because I was just mad about culturally that's a bad idea. But I'm going to point now as a 40-year-old bald man that I'm more sad about that. Right? That makes me sad that a person doesn't view their family in the healthiest of ways, saying their need to be protected in the event of an economic event like an early death. That should trump my desire to spend my money on myself, right? You know?
Yeah, I agree.
So there's my question that I asked myself and answered. And needless to say, I'm buying more life insurance. No one likes to do it, but I want to be an adult, and I don't want to be a cobbler with holes in my shoes. I got to practice what I preach. Coming up after the break, the biggest waste of money of the week. One is good, one is bad. They're next. I'm Pete the Planner.
Every day living through the peace of my soul, I remain whole, even in the middle of the pain. Even though my life has the rain, I still remain sane, writing and creating for my life. And my pen is my sword given by the Lord, and I use it to fight the tides of restriction. Sometimes I'm conflicted by myself, looking at the trees too much and can't see the forest. And the meek shall inherit the earth, and I want to inherit something other than the high blood pressure and diabetes. So work is what I gotta do. Stay true to my enemy and water the trees that I sing from, and look out for the lumberjacks running with the gale force wind at my back. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. Swift and enduring, I remain calm.
This week's biggest waste of money of the week on the Pete the Planner Show is, we got two items for you. One is good, one is bad. They're both ridiculous. If you want to be on our show, you can't be on this radio show, but you can be on our podcast. Go to PeteThePlanner.com to learn how. We're going to put some things on social medias over the next week so you can apply to be back on the $1 Million Plan, which is coming back. I'll explain it in totality later. Anyway, if you want to have a question answered on this show, email askpete@PeteThePlanner.com. All right. This week's biggest waste of money of the week is the LauraStar Smart Ironing System. You take pride in your clothes. Take care of them properly with the LauraStar Smart Ironing System. It connects to an app to coach you through each ironing session with advice for various fabrics. The board itself is equipped with a blower and vacuum system that can create a cushion of air to prevent creases or hold your clothing to the board to remove them. It automatically releases hygienic steam as you move, ensuring a proper iron while killing 99.999% of odor-causing bacteria, mites, and other fungi. All right, so Nicole, we've got an ironing board.
This is so intense.
That has a blower and vacuum, so it both sucks and blows.
Thank goodness.
And it is a smart board. Aaliyah? Stop it. We're recording a radio program.
She's done really well.
Like,
we keep it together for
she's
the
laughed at
most
me
part.
twice today.
Within good reason.
I don't know. So it's connected to an app that tells you, it coaches you on ironing. Okay. Do you have a guess on the cost? You didn't look it up, did you?
No, I didn't. Well, I looked at it. Well, it's currently not available in our country. That's all I got.
What? You don't know the cost, though?
No, I don't know the cost.
Go ahead and guess how much this smart ironing system costs you to prevent odor-causing bacteria and fungi.
I'm going to say $1,200.
Interesting guess. $2,195 for an ironing board that connects to your phone that coaches you about fabric.
Oh my God.
Okay, so I have lots of thoughts.
I have so many thoughts. Well, one, there's a secure payment system, so thank goodness.
Yes.
Right? Thank goodness.
So we have a particular household in which a person does their own ironing. Like, you know, some households it's like, well, I do this and you do that and your that is doing everyone's ironing. That's not the household I live in.
Oh, see, my special friend will steam and iron my clothes for me.
Right. Okay. So that is to say, actually, I often steam and iron my life partner's clothes.
Yes,
but it's only
sweeties.
because they're so small.
Yeah.
She's very small.
Yeah, we both have tiny clothes.
Yeah. So, so the issue here is this. I know what it takes to iron. So this isn't just some guy going, this is bad because how hard can ironing be? I know how hard ironing is, and I never feel like I need to be coached.
No, it's not the easiest thing to do, but once you know how to maneuver it, it's not that difficult.
It really isn't. And I think the key is something, Nicole, you just mentioned, and the key is a steamer.
I was just going to say I'm all about the steam life.
I travel with a travel steamer.
Yes.
Everywhere I go.
Oh, it's the best.
On a plane, right?
Right, yeah.
The reason is because it's better, generally speaking, than an iron. It's easier to use, and you don't have to be coached.
It doesn't destroy your clothing fibers, and you don't have to be coached.
And I think it does eliminate some odor-causing bacteria, mites, and fungi.
I would agree. It's steam.
$2,200 for a smart ironing system makes no sense.
Get on Amazon. There are some great Prime little ones that'll be at your doorstep tomorrow.
Did I ever tell you my travel steamer story about how I came to acquire it?
No, please share.
My mom watches QVC.
Yes, Connie.
And there was this guy on who wears like bedazzled jackets and whatnot on the QVC.
Amazing.
And he was hawking his steam iron to the ladies and
she needed
people.
one.
And so she bought it. And so it came, and it's in a flesh-toned sack with rhinestones.
That's amazing.
It's a flesh-toned sack with rhinestones.
That's all I could ask for.
It is the color of my skin, as if I were to have made a skin suit, like Buffalo Bill Cody. I don't know.
Wait, what?
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, it's a skin suit with rhinestones. It's embarrassing. So that's why I don't have people into my hotel room when I'm on the road, because I don't want them to see my steamer.
You're self-conscious of your flesh tone colored rhinestone steamer bag.
And to welcome others in your hotel room, in general, just a bad thing.
You could put it in the closet or something.
What, the person I have in my hotel room? I put them in the closet?
The steamer.
Yes, I put them in. Okay, so the next biggest waste of money of the week, and this one I'm actually convinced that it's a pretty good thing.
Okay.
Okay. It's the Bourbon Barrel Adirondack chair. Hand built by the craftsman at the Hungarian workshop, the Bourbon Barrel Adirondack chair gives the classic backyard lounger a Kentucky twist.
Oh.
Each piece is made completely out of reclaimed wooden cask from a bluegrass distillery. The natural curve of the staves gives the seat and back a comfortable contour, while the whiskey-aged patina provides a unique finish, available with either an open or closed style top. I don't know what that means, but I do know this. It's on Etsy, and it's $487.
Adirondack chairs rock.
Why are they so comfortable? Because nothing about them screams. Your back and buttocks are going to love this experience.
But they're so great.
Do you ever look at an Adirondack chair and you're like, you're going to be awful, and then you take part in it, and it's like, I like you.
I like you. Sometimes they're a little hard for me to get out of, but that's just because I got the short limbs.
Yeah, they dangle.
And they do.
They
really do.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's a pretty good thing. Now, Adirondack chairs, I have to admit, we don't own any, because they're pretty expensive. To get a good one. So if you had one made out of whiskey staves, it's kind of awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say even the one on LL Bean is like $300. So why not go the extra mile and pay the extra hundo for?
Did you ever, there was this whole thing going on. LL Bean has lifetime guarantees on everything.
On the boots.
On everything.
Yeah.
So if you ever buy anything from there, you just send it back and they send you a new one if you're not happy with it for whatever reason. And so what was happening was people were going to thrift stores like Goodwill, just looking for LL Bean stuff, sending it back and getting brand new versions of whatever they did. And so LL Bean knew this for years, and we're just like, we know people are going to take advantage of it, but we still believe it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And for years and years and years, they kept doing it despite the fact that they were losing their Adirondack chairs. But what ended up happening was finally, I think this past year, they made major adjustments to their policy.
Yeah.
Because, Nicole, people are jerks.
They are. Why you gotta be like
They're
that?
jerks.
Don't be sending back your Adirondack chair. You got a Goodwill mine.
Like you could wear, like I have some LL Bean socks because I'm an elderly man, and they have holes in them, and I've had them for 20 years.
Well, you can send those back.
Remember our last show, we talked about my dad and I climbing Mount Baker together?
Did those go with you?
I wore those socks on Mount Baker, but they have holes in them now. I could send them back to LL Bean for new socks, but I would never do that.
No, they're filled with the memes.
Memories.
Yeah, the memories,
Okay,
the memes.
I don't know, you young people.
I know, me.
Okay. So what do you think? Adirondack chair, that's a good deal. $487 for a chair made out of whiskey barrels.
I wouldn't say it's a good deal. However, it would
I
be.
get it.
I get it. I'm not like, that's a horrible waste of money. Or that's a horrible use of money, right?
Yeah.
I feel you.
Anyway, that's all we have time for on this week's show. I encourage people to do one of two things. You can do several things in your life, but at least do these two. If you have a financial question, ask me. I want to answer it for you. Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. Not only will I answer on the show or in my column, if I get on the show, I'll email you my answer, which will not be written. It will be me talking to you like this. The second thing I want you to do is go to PeteThePlanner.com, find the podcast link, and apply to be on the $1 Million Plan. We will walk through on the air with you for like 30 minutes your financial life, and we will get you on the right track. That's all we have time for this week. I'm sending you good vibes because good vibes are all that's in my budget. I'm Pete the Planner, and this is the Money Gorilla.
This is for information purposes only. It's not the Swiss financial planning device. Consult a financial advisor.
And so I am, pen in my hand, microphone on the stand, over vinyl I command and demand. Magnificence in an instance, I can make you dance, cry, or love, fly as a dove, released from Everest. The fresh is fresh, and you can call me E.T., word to John Tesh. Let me bless this harmonic presentation. It's amazing, so amazing, I'm the reason. Salutations, I bring you love-tron greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love-tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it? The tinkling of the keys is an homage to the little star. I sojourn over poetic descriptions of sound and travel to my other world. Out of this world, spaceship on my arm took me home, fueled by the ink and the megabytes and the hypertext transfer protocol, stronger than the Skynet and the Terminator. I push faders into warp speed, glide with ease, creating a breeze they call a black hole. Event horizon, no rear view concerns. This I adjourn, in beats I burn. This I adjourn, in beats I burn. Salutations, I bring you love-tron greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love-tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it?